G'day legends, it's Mark here from North Oz, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you a few of the issues that I have with my 79 Series Landcruiser, just some things that have been bothering me and some modifications to fix them. So thank you for joining me today. Let's get stuck into it. It's going to be a good one. So when I first got my 79 Series Landcruiser, I sat down and I made a little bit of a list of some of the things that I just wanted to keep an eye on, mostly from watching other people's YouTube videos and doing some Googling to see what other people, replaced and upgraded and modified and did whatever to their 79s. And they're the kind of things that I looked at that were like, it's not urgent, like I don't need to do this right now, but I want to own the vehicle for whatever it is, 8, 10, 12 months and kind of see how, these are things that I really want to replace or not. Do I really want to spend the money on them? So today is a little bit of a result of us going through that little bit of a list that I made and addressing them today. So the first thing we're going to be addressing is the side view mirrors. So this was one that popped up a lot in conversation. Whenever you have a look at modified 79 Series Landcruiser, they very rarely have the stock side view mirrors on them. Even just driving around town, very few of them actually have the stock side view mirrors. And there is a very good reason why. In fact, there's a couple. So one of the issues that I have with this side view mirror setup is that it's very short in height. So it doesn't really let you see the bottom of the road and also kind of like behind you as well. So that's one of the issues that I have with this, is that you can't really see where you sit in a car park. You can't really see what's beneath your wheels. And also at the same time, be able to be on the road and see kind of the middle of your vehicle so you can see behind you in the lane. So the issue that I also have is that you can't adjust these on the fly. That wouldn't be an issue if you're able to adjust them. But unfortunately, to be able to adjust them, you need to move them up and down. And unfortunately, doing that on the fly is not particularly easy because you have to roll down your window. For me, I got the hand wind window on this one, so it's not a particularly easy thing to do. And also on the other side, how am I supposed to reach over to the other side of the vehicle and move that one manually? It's just not going to happen. So you're kind of stuck in this position, wherever it is that you decide. You have to try and make up your mind. Now, where that becomes super annoying is that if someone bumps it, there's been a few times where I have gotten into my car and gone to park somewhere and I look over and I see that my mirror has changed position because someone's either bumped it or something's happened. Maybe, going down the highway, these things can move. You can adjust them and tighten them up a little bit, but it's just becoming one of those things that just has been annoying me day in, day out. So that's one of the reasons. Another one of the reasons that I found as well, just through, this isn't my personal experience, but this is something that I have seen quite a few pictures of, is that when these bolts become loose, this whole assembly can move, and that is a steel assembly. So that can move and damage your door or damage your fender. So it can move either way. So that is something I've seen people have kind of whacked the side of a mud bank, and it's kind of hit, or river bank, and or a tree, and it's gone into their door, and now they're up for a new door. So it's not the most, friendly, I guess you'd call it, side view mirror for doing some off-roading and things like that. So those are a couple of the main things that I really don't like about the side view mirror and why we're going to be changing it. So I've just finished opening up the box and we've got the two side view mirrors there, which are looking awesome. Can't wait to get them on. They're gonna look super tough. We also got some hardware here and there, and we also have, I believe, some thread locker all included in the box there, which is pretty cool. So let's see how we get these on. I'm sure it's not gonna be too hard. Let's do it. So putting on these side view mirrors are pretty straightforward, but I did have a few issues trying to get these screw/bolts in here, just because there wasn't enough room for me to get much of a tool in there. Even like a small screwdriver was a little bit tricky, but these ones down here went in really easily. I was just being a little bit careful not to over tighten these because they are kind of like a riv nut here, and that's just kind of threaded straight into the door. So I did cross thread it once. I could just kind of feel it with my hand, and I just backed it out and then went again. So it was a little bit of aligning to be done here, but it ended up going pretty well. This kind of little rubber bit there doesn't quite sit flush against there, so that's kind of just sitting there, but overall just sits, I think, kind of where it's supposed to be, I think, and that rubber kind of gasket just holds it all in place. So overall it's kind of how it looks there, and you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of how that's going to look when we are all done. I am loving the look and the function of the side view mirrors. So if you guys want to pick up a set of these yourself, I will leave a link in the description for you. But overall, guys, they were one of the main things that I really missed about my Patrol, and now I have it back. So I am a very happy man. I'm glad I was actually able to film this modification, because it's kind of, takes it back to the roots a little bit about what this channel is all about, which is giving things a go yourself. I mean, I'm no expert, guys. If I can do it, you definitely can. I keep saying that, but I've got very little to no skill. So if I'm willing to give it a crack, make sure you give your projects a crack as well. And speaking of projects, guys, I just haven't had the time to film me building out the 79 series as much as I would have liked. So I am going to be doing a full walk around video of everything that I've done to the vehicle so far. I'm going to film that over the next week or two. So if there's something that you really want to see about the 79, make sure that you put it down in the comment section. But we are still rolling with today's video, because there is another modification that I wanted to show you guys. I will be including it quickly in the walk around video, but I just wanted to show you why it was a problem for me and what I did to solve it. So we're going to move on to the second problem. But before we do that, make sure you guys have subscribed, make sure you like the video, and let's move on to the second problem. So for modifications 2 and 3, I found myself in a little bit of a tricky situation, because it comes back to me taking delivery of the 79. Typically, if you were to order a Land Cruiser or order, most 4-wheel drives, you could, get some factory options when you first place the order for the vehicle. However, because of the limited availability of 79s coming in, and me not wanting to wait 2.5 years and then potentially not getting what I wanted anyway, which was this style of V8, I took delivery of a dealer, I guess, consigned or dealer allocated vehicle. So for me, this was a great vehicle to get because I was able to get it quickly, but a downside to it was that I wasn't able to get, say, some features like lockers. So because this is a workmate, it doesn't come standard with lockers, you do have to place the order through the factory to get them. So it led me to do a couple of off-roading videos, such as the Fortuner vs 79 off-road video, and I found out very quickly that having that locker is actually a really big help in this vehicle. I've had lockers in my Hilux, in my Prado in the past before, but I found that they just weren't very helpful. When I went up to the Cape, and when I did a lot of sand driving in the Prado for that one, and going to the Cape in the Hilux, I found that the locker in them just didn't engage when I wanted it to engage, and I had a lot of frustrations with it. Now, probably a bit of pre-planning before going into some tricky spots would definitely help with that. However, sometimes you find yourself in a tricky spot, and what I found myself doing was doing some more research as to not really how lockers work, so I still have very little knowledge of that, but it's more about, which ones are going to get me out of trouble when I need to from my experience. So what that led me to do was to have some conversations with some 4x4 outfitters, especially up on the tablelands, because that's where I tend to do a lot of my business, just because they're really good up there. And I found myself getting installed an ARB compressor and ARB rear locker. So I only want to do a rear locker because that's where all the weight is kind of pushed back to, especially with the canopy on there now, but also, when you're going up some, I guess, tricky spots, a lot of that weight sits over the back. I always have the option of doing a front locker later on, but at this point, it's just not really a priority with the type of build that I'm doing for this vehicle. I'd love to show you guys how to install this locker, but unfortunately I just don't have the space at this point in time, and that is something I would like to do in the future. I'm always one for telling you guys to give projects a crack, because as you know, my skills are very limited, so I'm always trying to give things a crack when I can, but this was just one of those ones where I just realistically just didn't have the space to be able to take on that project. And yeah, so that was just one of the ones that I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to show you guys how to get that installed, but I am going to show you how the system kind of works, and yeah, I'll give you a little bit of a walk around at least, and you can see kind of how I use that air compressor as well, which was the third modification, because that compressor is actually really handy, and the way it works is pretty interesting because I can get that immediate activation of that locker, or pretty much immediate activation anyway. So I'm going to show you how that all works. I'm going to show you how the kind of the tire air up system works as well that I got with it, and yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm pretty stoked with it. So let me show you around that now. Now, I'm absolutely loving how these side view mirrors have turned out. I've been using them for about a week now, because it's been about a week between filming these 2 short clips, and man, these have helped me driving so much. So pretty stoked with them. So as we work our way into the vehicle, I'm just going to show you around a couple of things. So like typically people would put their locker switches and stuff here. I think that's where a pretty commonplace is in the factory, like GXLs and stuff that have the factory lockers in them. I think they typically go around in this area here. However, we have some blank switches here that we could use. So that is for the compressor there. So if you see that button there, you can see that that one is for the compressor. So if I ever want to air up or do anything like that, I have to make sure that's activated first before I click the locker button. And then down here is the locker button, all again pretty within reach. So if I've got my, my hand on the steering wheel here, I've got my compressor down here, and then my locker just here. So pretty close, pretty easy to get to. And yeah, and so if I ever want to use that air compressor, all I have to do is press that one, because that's the one I use quite a lot. And then when I need the locker, it activates pretty quick. So that compressor will typically make a little bit of a priming noise as well. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. I don't want to turn all the car on, because you guys wouldn't hear me and you wouldn't hear a thing that's going on. But if I turn the car on, press that, you will hear that air compressor kind of prime a little bit. And that is because if we work our way back around to where the compressor is installed, which is in the under tray box, you'll see that I've got my compressor tucked up nice and high up here. So the blokes up on the table ends, we had a bit of a chat, and we said that, where's going to be the best spot for this. And I don't really use much of the area in this toolbox. If I do, it's all going to be down a lot here. So maybe a few tools and stuff like that. The airing up kit that goes with this, that I'll show you guys in a second. Typically, I'll keep all that sort of stuff in here. Now, the compressor is up here. It is just a small one. It's the smallest one they make. I think it's just like a single pump or something like that, but it pumps up the tires really fast. I mean, I don't think I need anything more than that. I aired down my tires to like 20 and then put them up to 35, and it did it so fast. Like, I wouldn't want any more than that, I don't think. But if you've got much bigger tires than me, I'm only running the stock 33s, but if you're running 35s and up, you might want to get the bigger compressor. But for me, that works out perfectly. At the top here, you can see that we've got the breather for this all the way up the top there. So if I'm ever going through a water crossing or anything like that, I've probably got bigger problems than getting that wet. It does have this pretty cool little, it's got like a little tank in this, so it's got a little bit of a built-in tank, is my understanding of how this works. So when you do prime it, it just puts a little bit of pressure in that tank, and that's good for about 2 or 3 activations of the lockers. So it basically just pushes, my understanding again is that it just pushes that pin straight in with a little bit of pressure and then locks up that rear diff. So it's pretty cool in terms of how all that works. And then on the side here, we've got this nice little nozzle, and that's where my air up kit will go, which I'll show you guys in a second. But this has got you're probably wondering what this little plug is on the side here, and we've just got that ready to go for a front locker. So if I want to ever install a front locker on this vehicle, I can. It's not too difficult in terms of now that all the wiring is all set up. And yeah, we don't have to go through any crazy wiring jobs, because that's already there, ready to go. So that's kind of how it looks in there. Keeps it out of the dust a little bit as well. Like, yeah, there's a bit of dust and stuff in here, but actually, on the system in here, it doesn't get a lot of dust in here. So that's a pretty good little system I'm pretty happy with at the moment. So I'm going to show you guys the airing up system, or the kind of air system that I use to get a little bit of air into the tires. So this is our airing up kit that we get with the compressor, which is pretty sick. I really do like this, and it's good quality stuff, guys. Not much else you can say. That hose goes into this little outlet here, and then the other end goes into this this little digital inflator readout, which is pretty cool. I'll show you how that works in a second. So it's big enough to get to all corners of the tires, and that's pretty much as far as you're going to get, which is great. I don't want a hose any bigger than this, because what happens is, you know, it's just too much of a hassle to try to roll up and, you know, find places for it. So that's the kind of little setup there for the inflation kit, and I'm going to show you guys how it all works from my perspective when I go to inflate the tires. So let me show you how to do that now. So that was the compressor priming. So now it's got a little bit of air in that little tank there. So if I want to activate the lockers, it'll do that pretty quick. And then you'll hear the air pop out of here when I go to put this little end in here. So I just showed you how my compressor system works, and I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. It's really simple, really easy, and most of all, it's very quick to be able to put some air in the tire. You would have seen that it jumped up very quickly, a couple of PSI, and that's because that little extra canister in there, small air tank that it has to be able to actuate the lockers, and you know, it actually does help when you put the air in your tire, because it just gets that extra little half PSI or PSI in there very, very quickly, and then it shoots it up from there. It goes pretty quick. So it's just, you know, a couple of things that I'm figuring out as I'm using the system that are a little bit of surprises, and they're good surprises so far. So I'm very, very happy with how the system's coming together. The lockers, like, there's not much to show you. I haven't been able to get out at the moment, especially like this week, to be able to get out off-road and show you how the lockers work, but I might do that in a dedicated video, just show you exactly how, you know, the difference that those lockers make in some situations. So if you want to see that video, make sure you let me know down in the comment section, just so you can see a practical, I guess, demonstration of how those air lockers work and how quickly they work compared to the old Toyota factory ones that I've been using in the past. So that's pretty much everything, guys. And you know, a couple of a few mods that we've done to the 79 in today's video, just wanted to share with you. And you know, we've got the full walk around video coming up very soon. Now out here in the on the driveway is my new FJ. So I've made a couple of videos on that so far, and I am in the process of doing a full restoration on this, because you know, there's just been a few things that, especially, it's more like appearance more than anything, but there's been a few things that has been neglected on that FJ. So what I'm doing is, instead of just doing like lots of little bits and pieces and filming every single week, what I'm doing is I'm doing the complete restoration of it and filming it and sharing it with you guys as one big video. So kind of a start to finish restoration to get that back to kind of mint stock, like mint factory. And then from there, you know, we'll be able to modify it and do different things that we need to suit, you know, what we want to be doing with it. And you know, again, there will be another video being made on that shortly about why I purchased the vehicle and a walk around of that as well. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting vehicle. So if you want to see a little bit more of that as well, make sure you subscribe, but let me know down in the comment section kind of which vehicle you're more interested in seeing. Is it the 79? Is it the FJ? But I'm loving working on the FJ at the moment. It's just being really rewarding working on a second-hand four-wheel drive. Again, I've been doing a lot of new four-wheel drives in the last couple years, and that's not really how the channel started. The channel started with me taking old, beat-up vehicles and doing them up and making them nice. And that's not like an old, beat-up vehicle. It's still a very nice car, but you know, it's not perfect. You know, it's a second-hand vehicle, so I want to get it to a point where it's really nice. I want to make sure that it's doing service to the amazing vehicle that it is, because it's a lot of fun to drive. It's very unique, and I think it's something that, you know, people will probably, I don't know, I think people will become more gravitated towards it, and they'll gravitate more towards those sorts of vehicles over the next couple of years as the automotive industry changes and people realize a few things, I think. So if you guys want to see more of this stuff, make sure you subscribe, make sure you let me know down in the comment section, and I'll see you shortly in the next video. Take care.